thank you so much for joining us, viewers, and everyone that is following this particular show. I am your host, Mumbi Richard, and today we are hosting a very special guest by the name of Mr. Daniel Kabamba. Mr. Daniel Kabamba is a lecturer by profession. He is also a business, an entrepreneur, a PPP specialist, a researcher, and the current Zambia Institute of Purchasing and Supply president. And want to welcome you, Mr. Kabamba, to this particular show. Please just greet the viewers. Mr. Kabamba, sir? Uncle Dike.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, now I can see you clearly. I wasn't hearing you.
Are you able to see me?
Hey, you are very clear now. Okay. No,
Okay.
no, we can start.
Thank you very much, Mr. B. I'm so humbled and so grateful. Good evening.
Okay. Thank you so much. Um, we'll straight away going into the discussion. And at this particular point, I would ask Mr. Kabamba to just tell us a bit about yourself. I know I've introduced you to the viewers, but just to share a bit about yourself, then we can get into the topic of the day.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mumbi. I'm so grateful that yeah, you found it worthy that I could be featured on this particular important program where we are discussing procurement matters. And as a matter of fact, we are operating in an environment where procurement actually is um, almost the sector where we live in the corporate environment, where we work in the circles and social circles, where teachers and and, family levels and corporate levels and institutional levels and national levels. So basically, having said what I've said, actually, my name is Daniel Kabamba. Definitely, as you have said. Um, my brief bio is that I am a consultant. I'm a researcher. I'm a lecturer. Those of you who know Zikas University, I'm the anchor lecturer in procurement and supply at Zikas University. At the same time, I'm a consultant in supply chain management and public-private partnership. As you might be aware that PPP now has become to be, you know, a talk of the day, which is actually substituting cost elements of excheques, from the government. In terms of career development, basically, I am coming from a very, very different background. I'm coming from engineering background, electrical engineering, and also having worked in the mines. That time, that is I might count myself lucky because I'm one of the first individuals in the country to introduce e-procurement. That time it was Guadrem that we introduced in the private sector under Mopani. Today we are glad that we are now having the e-procurement in government. And from there, I moved from Mopani. I went to Mamba Quarries. I was a procurement manager there. I went to Puma Energy. I was a procurement manager. Chambish Water and Sewerage. I was a procurement manager. I went to World Bank as a procurement specialist before coming to head procurement as NBC. At the moment, I'm grateful that the supply chain fraternity in the country has accorded me a chance to be the president of the Zambia Institute of Purchasing and Supply. So it means that we are sitting at the anchorage point or a pivot point where matters of procurement in the country, matter of supply chain in the country, matter of inventory and the stores are actually hovering around, our helm of authority, and it's very very interesting journey. Yeah, and I feel it's very important that we come together as professionals to continue working in this manner. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kabamba. And being a guru in the procurement profession, I think you're well positioned to discuss the topic today about professional recognition, why it is important, the challenges that we have faced as a profession in Zambia, and also the way forward in this particular matter. Mr. Kabamba, I'll just dive straight into the questions. And the first question that I'll ask is that how has it been in terms of professional recognition of the procurement function in our country and also in yeah, basically in Zambia?
It's twofold. In terms of the professional growth itself, recognition is very high. This is the more reason why you find that you have got universities that are offering procurement and supply today. We started. I'm glad again to mention that I was one of the I was part of the pioneers. We started with the Kabamba University, which is offering procurement and supply chain management, and we that grew now into master's degree, and we have got other universities like Encounter and Copper Belt University, Zikas University, Murungushi University. We talk about Unilas, a private university. We talk about Charimbana. We talk about a mammoth number of universities are coming on board to procurement. What does it mean? It means that the cognition is taking place. Second place, that's why we even have students that are coming to enroll in order for them to be part of the procurement fraternity. So within a couple of years, I mean a few years, Zambia actually in Africa has recorded a mammoth task and speed in terms of growth, whereby you remember that way back in the 90s, Zambia was topping in the world in terms of CIPS qualification. So this is where the recognition actually is starting from, and it has continued to grow, and it's growing. That is one area. The other area is that recognition is still is procurement and supply chain management is still facing the challenge of acceptance. I wouldn't say recognition. Recognized has been recognized because even the government is making frantic efforts to mention procurement at any given moment. But acceptance is a problem that we have at the moment. The procurement fraternity hasn't been accepted because of various stakeholders' interests. Not that it cannot be accepted, it can be accepted, but the problem is that you've got so many stakeholders with vested interest in procurement and supply chain. I think that's a more reason why acceptance has become a problem. So I believe and trust that as we traverse in this discussion today, we should be able to look at what areas are affecting the recognition, and acceptance. Otherwise, we are standing on the firm ground, and the growth trajectory is well set. Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kabamba. Before we can actually, you've mentioned one of the issues is as acceptance being a challenge. I think before we can actually dive into what strategies ZIPS is putting in place to ensure that this acceptance is achieved in this particular profession, my question would be that what has actually been the major challenges that you have faced over the years as a profession and also now currently as a ZIPS president, in order that you can be able to speak to say these are the challenges that have actually impacted on the procurement profession not achieving the acceptance levels that would want. Maybe you can speak to that, sir. Maybe to cut you short a bit, sir. Maybe to cut you a bit short, sir. I don't know if you're able to hear me. Are you able to hear me? All right. I seem not to get your sound, but I've stopped getting your sound, but I can be able to see that you are speaking.
There are two important things that we need to look at as major challenges. Um, One is recognition, and two is acceptance. Um, like I was trying to say, recognition and acceptance. In terms of recognition, I would say that recognition is very good, both in the public and private sector. That's why you're able to see structures in place. When you go to any ministry, you are going to see that there's a proper structure for the um, unity of procurement and supply. There's a proper structure. When you go in the private sector, you still going to find that structures are in place. And when you hear from the government officials the issue of their pronouncements relating to procurement is very prominent. So, if you look at all these areas, it is giving us an indication that the profession is recognized. They are recognized. So, we give credit to our stakeholders for this recognition. Apart from that, if you look at within ourselves as procurement and supply professionals, we recognize. That's why you find that for different membership categories, and members are coming forth to participate in affairs of the institute. When you have a function, they are available. You know, when you call upon them to participate, they are available. When you called upon to be compliant in terms of their membership, most of them are available. I know there could be 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, who would not be able to respond positively, but that's how life operates. That's why I've got compliance to enforce such, you know. But recognition is pretty fine. The problem that we have is acceptance. The profession has not yet been accepted. People talk negatively about it. That's acceptance. Failure to accept. Procurement has come here to stay. And from a history point of view, up to where we are, procurement has got deliverables that have scored, you know, and it becomes extremely important for us to accept that the fraternity is here to render services to the government and also the private institutions and also to individual stakeholders. Now, where is the problem in terms of acceptance? Acceptance mostly is coming in because of interested parties. Parties have got interests, you know. We speak about NGOs that have specific interests, and they wouldn't like to throw away those interests. So what happens is that they come with the principle of undermining procurement. So that they don't recognize when someone is undermining you, they know what you are capable of doing, meaning they recognize you, but they won't accept you. So by him treating you, by stamping upon you, by you know, mudsliding on you, it means that they have not accepted you. This is the biggest problem that we have in the procurement fraternity, is acceptance. So you find also some decision makers speak ill of procurement. Why? Because some of them speak of procurement, and it was a situation where you know, someone is reporting to you and you speak ill of them. That doesn't you know, sound nice. It's like even in domestic arrangements where you have got your family, you've got your children, you've got your wife, you've got your husband, and you speak ill of them, that doesn't, uh, uh, look nice, because it's a purely a sign of betrayal and lack of loyalty in this particular person's influence. So that's the biggest problem that we have. It's a deliberate move. Not that people don't know. People know the capacity of procurement, the importance of procurement. That's why I'm indicating that recognition is there. The supply chain fraternities are highly recognized in this country, but it has not been accepted. There are problems that we have. For example, why should you have almost everybody who is heading a department is a director, yet the one heading procurement is not a director? The reason is not that's not recognized. It's not recognized. It's not recognized, but it's not accepted because somebody who is able to make a decision is just not comfortable that if procurement is given this authority, my interests is going to be suppressed, And what you do is you have got a number of court cases that you can refer to. You go to court, you look at some of the issues that have gone to court. They'll tell you that procurement person advised this senior government official, but they go ahead and proceed to do whatever they want to do. At the end of the day, they end up being in jail. Why? It's not that they recognize, but they have not accepted it. So these are some of the issues that we have. I don't understand the reason why that can be difficult. It's as simple as that. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kabamba. Uh, uh, Maybe let me be a bit controversial. When you talk about the issue of acceptance, I think it has more to do with the value that we are bringing to the table. Do you think, Mr. Kabamba, the procurement profession in the nation, in the country, in Zambia specifically, is ripe enough to take up strategic roles and be able to advise key stakeholders and board members, management on strategic issues that would actually result in the profession being accepted? Your thoughts, sir?
Mr. Mumbi, if you are heading a department, have you ever heard of any procurement officer who has been surcharged? Any procurement officer who has been dropped down from being head of procurement because of their failure to perform? If there has been, it means even in the other department, someone somewhere has failed to perform. If Daniel Kabamba fails to perform in his capacity as a consultant, does not mean that Mr. Mumbi is going to fail to perform as a consultant. So, being a researcher, I understand and believe in empirical statistical submissions based on the facts as collected from the data. So you go to all the government ministries, you're going to find there's a head of procurement. You go to the private sector, you're going to find there's a head of procurement. Of course, they may give them different names, nomenclatures. Some of them are managers, some of them are head. Depending on who is where, that's what it is. So if there are deficiencies that you can find in procurement, the same deficiencies are available in any other profession. If there are good performance that you can find in procurement, the same are available in any other. Don't forget that the sign of procurement is very visible. I'll give you an example. If you are constructing a road, the procurement is responsible for administering that process. The output of that road is a collective responsibility, which is going to have the engineer, the accountant, the surveyor, the architect, the procurement, etc., etc. So, when you are stating a position on that particular issue, is that the process has failed, not procurement has failed. If you have looked at the success of that particular construction, you say the process has succeeded, not one person has failed. So when you say ripe, it's contextually subjective. Ripe in which way? So I can tell you that the fraternity is ripe. Why I'm saying it's ripe is because I'm getting it from the way, these people have been able to execute their duties, and based on the facts on the table. Now, the problem that they have is that I spoke about acceptance. You are operating in very difficult circumstances. I'm sitting as an external procurement committee member. I'm seeing the difficulties that my people are going through. It's very challenging. Here, this guy called the end user. He sneaks out of the station. He goes in the field. He goes to certify works. And then when he goes to certify works, he comes back, the contract expired. He has not even communicated because maybe the contract is not even shared with the procurement person. And they bulldoze their way. They bulldoze their way. What happens to the procurement person is very vulnerable, because now you have to move away from being diplomatic and become confrontational, which is strategically not right. The problem that we have is that the structural imbalance is a big problem. And the structural imbalance is that this particular person is only recognized at a time when wrong things have happened. The procurement person becomes very popular. When good things are taking place, it's very unpopular. I look at it a different way, because when wrong things have happened, it's because of procurement. So we go to some universities. When you go to CBU, all the people all the schools that are there, we go to some universities. When you go to Zika, it's the same arrangement. We have got some qualifications, some masters, some PhDs, and we sit in some positions. Same offices, but we differ in positions. The legitimate power that's held by a person called a director, basically, is much more stronger to a person who is called an assistant director or procurement officer. I'll give you two classic examples, experienced ones. One of it was just yesterday. Here is a head of procurement, but this guy is called officer. He's a procurement officer. He's heading the department. And this particular person is preparing the evaluation to take place. He gets authority from the controlling officer, and the controlling officer appoints the chairperson. And the chairperson, once appointed by the controlling officer, this chairperson, she calls the procurement officer, come to my office. And this particular person walks into that person's office and start telling them to say, we are going to do the evaluation, but you must understand that this particular bidder is a very good bidder. And I have no problem in us proceeding in this manner. That any means that may take place like that, the contract must be awarded to this particular bid. So, this is the same person who developed the terms of reference. This is a person who developed who's the end user, and it's a person who's going to chair the evaluation process. Now, telling the procurement officer that way, I have to thank that procurement officer. He was very brave. What he did was, he went to the controlling officer, said, sir, this is what this person is telling me. I'm writing to you to change the chairperson of this evaluation so that you bring in someone else. And the controlling officer was gracious enough to change the person who is going to chair the evaluations. This is a classic example taking place, not in insinuations, no, classic example taking place. Why did this particular person call the procurement officer? Because they were using their authority, because they got a director, and the procurement officer is an officer. So they're expecting the procurement officer to bow in. Now, by the virtue of this officer being an officer, they now have to stand their feet and become aggressive and confrontational, which is not right. Because they're pushing these procurement people too much against the wall. They know what's supposed to be done. But the problem is, the people who are supposed to be guided are not ready to be guided. So this is some of the classic examples that I can give you. Another example that I can give you is, here is an end user. He goes on site. He instructs that the contract be extended. And the contractor started working on a contract on extension based on instruction from the end user. Who says that? But this end user has got a director. And the programmer says, who am I? It's very difficult. If he speaks, he is told, excuse me, this is my department and I'm a direct officer, for example. What is going to do? Keeps quiet. Legitimate power is important. So I do not doubt that procurement also not, they are right, but the field is not leveled. They are bruised, they are abused, to such an extent that their voices are very suppressed. I cannot deny the fact that we are doing a lot to bring in mentorship. We are doing a lot to bring in a skill set. We are bringing a lot to bring in a system where the capacity is built to make sure that we are up to date with the modern trends and contemporary matters. But that does not mean that there are no incompetencies in other professions. There are serious more incompetencies in other professions than in procurement.
Thank you
Yes.
so much. Thank you so much, sir, for that.
Thank you, Mr. Mumbi.
Yes, as you have rightly mentioned, maybe we can actually now look at what are some of then the strategies, having recognized the challenges that we have as a profession now in terms of recognition, in terms of acceptance. So, what are some of the strategies that we are putting in place to ensure that this becomes a thing of the past? Maybe you can speak to that, sir.
The problem that we have in providing deliverables is to think academically. That's the biggest problem that we have, is to think academically. And we know that today, just like in other countries like Ghana, other countries like Kenya, other countries like Nigeria, where master's degrees and PhDs, we have professors and the like, is the talk of the day. Harvard University has developed a very simple approach where it is looking at specific set of skill set. For example, if I have got my degree, my professional qualification, I've got my master's, I've got my PhD, does not mean that I'm an expert in procurement holistically. No. I want to have a segment where I can say, here, this area is my major strength site. Right? So against that background, what Harvard University has introduced, it has introduced the competence masterclass. That competence masterclass, what it's doing now is that can you have a person who can be very good at who can be very good at strategy. So this particular person who is good at strategy will come in and be trained in strategy so that this particular person now becomes an expert, and they will graduate with a certificate of excellence in particular competence. Believe you me, when I go for that course for 6 months, by the time I'm coming back, I'll be something else. Now, in terms of how procurement fraternity is trying to rebrand itself, it's trying to look at what areas are we supposed to inculcate and put up the spirit. Is to look at one, the process of membership upgrade. If you are upgrading from student up to fellow, which is the highest upgrade, what process are we supposed to take? Number two, working together with employers. What is expected to work to the employers? Number three, introducing mentorship. Number four, introducing proficiency assessment model system. I'll speak to it one by one. The upgrade of membership. If today I want to upgrade from affiliate to a full member, there must be a competence program that I must undergo. Intense competence program that I must undergo. According to the law, Section 8 is very clear that for one to be a member, he must pass exams set by the council. So to want to pass that exam set by the council, there must be a deliberate program that the council has to put in place. This is a program that ZIPS actually has put in place and is effective this year. And what will be happening now is that there will be no more automatic upgrade of membership. No. What will happen is that you are going to be subjected to tutorials You'll be subjected also to experience, where you look at practical matters, and also you'll be subject to mentorship. Under mentorship, for example, under tutorial, you'll be required to, identify what are the main areas. I'll give you a simple example. When I look at the procurement committee minutes, I go to this ministry, I go to another ministry. The minutes are totally different. I go to another ministry, minutes are totally different. I'm trying to ask myself to say, what should be the model of writing minutes? You are going to find that one person is going to record the minutes as discussions in the proceeding. Another person is going to record the minutes as submissions in the proceeding. So there are two different issues here: discussions and submissions. So if you have got a procurement paper that you are submitting, it is appearing in the next minutes as the whole paper, the inner minutes, instead of coming in as an annex. Right? That's an example. Another one is just going to record deliberations, submissions, deliberations, a conclusion, and the decision made. Deliberations and decision made. Minutes. Some paper, one is able to produce 25 pages of minutes. Another is going to produce 2 pages of minutes. What is the acceptable standard way of writing minutes? Procurement committee minutes, for example. It's a challenge. It's a challenge that I have seen. Number 2, procurement reports. When I'm writing a report, I believe from my research that report must be quantitative and must be figurative, performance based. When I'm writing a report to me, and you're telling me that you hosted Daniel Kabamba on this platform, this business insights that you're hosting me on, the question that comes in: how many times have you hosted me? 1 time. Okay. So what is the program? The program in a particular period is supposed to host me 5 times, but you host me 1 time. How many failure? 4 times. So we've got new arrangements that I must be speaking to the report. I'll give you a simple example. The market price index has come in. The price reasonability arrangement, which is constituting the price benchmarking system, the primary institutes. The decision that was made in the budget for this year was 2 million kwacha. My procurement plan, which is worth 2 million kwacha, has spent 1.6 million kwacha. There's a difference of 400,000 kwacha. Why is the 400,000 kwacha? How many of us have taken time to explain where the 400,000 kwacha has gone? If the 400,000 kwacha has gone because negotiated, justified in your report, this is going to be the basis that your employer is going to look at. Even when you are doing the evaluation, you are conducting the APAS appraisals, they are going to look at this particular person in terms of saving. Under finance, there's no relationship between procurement and finance. The relationship is savings, that's all. Procurement is much more inclined to economics than finance, because you need to understand the macro setup and the micro setup, the environment around you, the environment within the organization. But how many of us report like that? I don't need to see a report that's telling stories, narratives. No, I don't have time to read. Give me an Excel sheet, I'll read it. What's a scorecard like? How many of us have got a scorecard? A monitoring tool or a planning plan. The actual versus the planned. If you expect us to deliver a bus in 3 weeks, you deliver in 1 week. What have we done to 2 weeks? Have you reported it? No, you haven't. I think if you go to, probably I'm not trying to say anything, where I've worked, go to Zambia, you are going to find this kind of reporting. And because of this, it has made my people being promoted. Certain BC does no longer get people from outside. It's promoting the same people that are inside because of the consistency and the producing reports that are able to convince management, for example. You see? So what I'm trying to emphasize is, how do we write a report, for example? The report must be able to indicate your performance and what you be able to. These are the things that we will start, training our members, even as they graduate from affiliate to full members. Mentorship. We've got two different types of fellows. We have got fellows by qualification and fellows by influence. Fellows by influence. These are fellows that are appointed at the discretion of the institute based on what they feel they have contributed. So we want to expose our members to executive influence. For example, we have got fellows like PST Senda is a fellow, it's an affiliate fellow. We have got Ambassador Richard Moses as an affiliate fellow. We've got so many, those that anchor a business environment. Those are fellows. What are we supposed to do from there? We're supposed to expose our members to them, to understand the boardroom etiquette, to understand the being executive, what does it mean to be executive? So that as you graduate, you become a full member, you will know the kind of a person you're going to be working with as a CEO. The other is to look at his skill set. You are not going to just provide yourself to say, I'm a jack of all trades. No. There must be one area where you're supposed to be an expert. So, apart from that now, you read an exam. A recommendation is going to come from your employer and the person who is mentoring you to say, now we can upgrade this particular person is ripe. Upgrading from full member to a fellow, the same arrangement. What you're going to do here, we are going to say, you can never be a fellow if you know everything. You can only be a fellow if you know one or two things. So much that if you are talking about, can we get a person who's good at corporate governance, they'll say, get Richard. Who is a guy who's good at ERP? Get Damson. Who is good at contract management? Get this guy. Who is good at inventory management? Get this guy. Who is good at stores, physical? Get this guy. Then, as you become a fellow, you must be a person that, as I'm speaking today, you could say, no, we are not featuring a president. We are featuring a fellow because the topic of discussion today is stores. So get an expert in stores. As simple as that. Let him come and speak to us. That is a concept that we are trying to look at. And as you become a fellow, you must have already an existing fellow to work with you so that you know you are seeing the gaps. So this is a concept that we are trying to bring in and develop an arrangement that you are even certified to say, Mr. If you become a fellow, the narration will go further. You are hereby certified to be a fellow with a specialty in procurement journalism. When you tell me to buy anything to do with media, I have no problem. I can explain to you what a camera is. I can explain what a TV station is. Because that's my area of expertise. And this is what we're trying to look at, to cure some of the problems that we find, just to build capacity, in our members. So this is the kind of approach that we have really taken in place. So we have initiated, and it's our sincere trust and hope that the next batch that is going to apply for membership upgrade is subjected to such a kind of an approach. So this is a strategy that ZIPS has taken into consideration to help our members appreciate and come into reality with what's happening on the ground by investing a lot in contemporary matters and find exactly what that must be done to correct the situation and the narration. Yeah.
Mr. Kabamba, thank you so much, and for those particular remarks, and the message is very clear. The profession is recognized. The issue is the acceptance, and ZIPS, I think, is taken a very right direction to ensure that this acceptance is adequately achieved. Mr. Kabamba, looking at time, I would have actually loved to ensure that we talk more, but I think you have alluded to quite a lot of issues, and I'm sure, with your permission, we should be doing some of these podcasts, even quarterly, on different topics that I think are bordering on what ZIPS is doing, as we feature also different fellows and different heads of departments and many other people in the profession that can actually be able to ensure that together we send out a message that is inspirational, educative, and also uplifting to our members. Thank you so much, Mr. Kabamba. I don't know if you have any closing remarks before we can actually close. We may not be able to take questions now, but we'll be able to gather whatever has come through and then be able to share later. Thank you, Mr. Kabamba. Any closing remarks?
There are a number of things. Yes, please. We need to zoom in and try to see how best we can invest a lot in project management and how best we can invest a lot in contract management because this is where we are finding a lot of bottlenecks that are able to expose. And they're not exposing everybody who's involved, but they're exposing the providing profession. I can get a message from one of my colleagues who has posted on Saga chapter says, moving forward, we need to be focusing on where the bottlenecks are and having possible solutions if we are to move forward as a profession. Like, why do we allow local contractors to deliver in a project which must not be taken lightly, which is a worry for how long will foreigners manage our own projects? It's a very profound information that has come from one of the colleagues from Saga chapter. The question is, if we fail to manage our local contractors, if we fail to manage our digital contractors, we are going to be a recipe of promoting capital flight because contracts will stop coming to Zambians. Contracts will start going to foreigners. And what will happen for Zambia will remain bleeding. And the procurement has got a responsibility of making sure that we seal these wounds that are able to ooze blood out of our bodies. But that can only happen again if stakeholders accept procurement. Like I indicated in my opening remarks, the profession is recognized, but the problem is that it is not accepted. So we are preaching acceptance, and when we preach acceptance, and once acceptance comes afore, then we shall say this is the zips we wanted, and building on what's been existing, we want to make sure that we build capacity on our members. We provide proper skill set with our members, especially when it comes to fellow membership category. We make sure that the person who is being promoted as head of procurement has what it takes to manage. But overall, I'd like to thank all the heads of procurement and professionals in procurement and supply chain in this country. Personally, where I stand, I see that they are doing their level best. The problem is they are not yet accepted. But who knows? Jesus Christ was recognized. His presence was recognized, but he was not accepted. And we shall continue to soldier on. Today, we are Christians, and we preach the death of Jesus Christ and the birth of Jesus Christ. The same thing shall happen to procurement for intelligence and stores. One day, we shall preach about procurement and stores. So acceptance is what we are fighting for, and it shall come. I thank you.
Thank you so much for that, for those particular encouraging remarks. Thank you so much, everyone that was able to tune in and to view us today. You have heard it yourselves from the member-centric message, the guru himself, Mr. Daniel Kabamba. Mr. Daniel Kabamba, thank you so much. We don't take your time for granted. I think these are healthy conversations that we should be having more often. Like I earlier said, we are looking forward to another series, another topic in the next coming month, the February. And please be on the lookout and see you next time. Thank you so much, Mr. Kabamba. Thank you.